Good morning, everybody. It is a rare treat that I'm coming live on Friday instead of Monday. There we are. I've caught up. It is a rare treat that I'm coming to you on Friday instead of Monday. Good morning. It is Friday. Can you believe it? It's Friday. It is August 5th. It is 11:27 and I'm coming to you live today because I didn't have it in me on Monday to go live. I mean, I did have it in me to go live, but I didn't have words. I still wasn't on the planet yet. It took me until yesterday to get fully integrated back onto the planet. And so I apologize that um, I maybe left you hanging, but I had really promised myself that I would come back and share what I what I could of my experience on Sunday, and so here we are. And originally I was planning to go live at 11 like I normally do, but then I got a text message from a matchmaker that she scheduled me for a blind date on Monday. And I was like, "Oh, beep." You know that emoji face with the wide eyes and the face is just going um that was how I felt. And I was like, "Let's new adventures." Um so the title of the post today was "Be careful what you wish for," because that was one of the things that I was really working on and clearing out and getting shedding from Sunday night into Monday. And so to have it be not even 3 days later was my guides don't waste any time. My next edge. So I will keep you posted on how it goes. It's Monday night, so I'll let you know. What I did want to share with you is I did this incredible healing journey meditation, and when I do these kinds of journeys, and I do them periodically, I don't do them all the time because frankly it's a lot. It would be a lot to do this all the time. But when I do them, I I'll go on a journey and I don't leave my house, but it's a spiritual, mental, energetic journey, but it's no less of a journey. Um, Occasionally, I will take a piece of an edible that just sort of opens things up for me. I have to be really careful that I don't take too much because it will make me paranoid. But I will always do it with a very clear intention of this is going to be a healing journey for me, which is exactly what I did on Sunday. And I remember thinking, oh, well, maybe this isn't going to be that healing journey. And then all of a sudden I was getting ready for bed and I was doing some mirror work. I was looking in my eyes and I was sort of going through like I was just reminding myself again of parts I was loving parts of me that I was maybe had been judging a little bit, and it came I felt it come all the way over me and just like slammed me down. And and then I couldn't brush my teeth. I couldn't figure out how to do anything. I had to just lay on my floor. So what I did was I put myself in child's pose, and I spent most of the night either in child's pose or shavasana. It was crazy and powerful and amazing. And one of the things that I learned was, I mean, when I talk to my guides, it's often a call and response kind of thing. It's often like I ask a question and they'll show me an answer, or they'll give me a vision, or I'll hear it, or I'll somehow just get this knowing. Occasionally, they'll give me a question and pose it as a student with a teacher, right? I don't know how many of you have ever read the book The Education of Oversoul 7. Do I have it here? I may have it right here on my Yep. Shit. The Education of Oversoul 7. This is it's a fiction, book, but this was one of those life-changing books for me. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it, but it is like, look, it's a tome. It's not, and it's also a deep, deep um, concept. And I remember reading this book early 2000s when I first started journeying. No, when I first started actively pursuing healing. And I remember read this book and I was like, oh, I've always done this. I was talking with a friend of mine last night and she said, so you've always been able to do this? And I was like, yeah. I just didn't know that everybody didn't have conversations like this with their guides. And maybe everybody does, but I don't, right? It just seems to be that sometimes it's people, I talk to about this to people and people are like, what? Um, so my guides will talk to me and we have conversations. We have dialogue. There's a real dialogue that happens with my guides. And the education of Oversoul 7 is a lot of dialogue between the whatever his teacher is, guide, healer, whatever his thing is, and then Oversoul 7 is the student, but Oversoul 7 oversees all these other different souls and all these different lifetimes. It's actually, like I said, it's deep and profound and amazing and was one of those life-changing books for me because it 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 put into words, or it gave me a reference point for how I've always talked to my guides. So that's what happened on Sunday is I asked the questions that opened the answer, because truly they cannot intervene unless we ask. So I asked the questions which gave them the entry point, and we had a really amazing dialogue all night long. And it was lesson after lesson after lesson, and I got to unwind different parts of chakras, different places where I had stuff buried. I got to unwind at one point something from what felt I felt it in utero. And I didn't have conscious access to that, but when they showed me what it was, I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And then uh, like something happened when I was right first born that like it when my mom was pregnant with me, my biological father was killed. It was a big, tragic, awfulness, right? My mom was devastated, naturally. Everybody was devastated. The whole family was. And my mom was 6 months pregnant with me. So the whole time I was in utero, I was absorbing that. I was feeling it. I was, you know, experiencing it with her. I wasn't really truly in there yet because my soul was still in the soul plane, but I was in there and I was feeling it. And then when I was born, shortly after I was born, my mom got an infection in one of her ovaries and ended up back in the hospital again. And she was in a pretty significant life or death situation. And I found out on Sunday night when I was doing this meditation that I hooked her as a baby. I said, "Stay with me. I need you to stay with me." Which at the time, I obviously had no, obviously, who knows? I was a baby. Who knows what? There's no consciousness there. And I didn't know that I had done it. And I didn't even know that I did it up until Sunday night. I wouldn't have been able to access that. But then on Sunday night, it was very clear. It was very clear. I could see it. I could feel it. I could experience it. But what came along with that was guilt that I had done it. There was a real like, oh, how could I do that? How could I do this to her? And one of the main themes that kept coming up over and over and over again on Sunday night was, if it wasn't meant to happen, it wouldn't have happened. Like, that was so driven home for me, that if it wasn't meant to happen, it wouldn't happen. Nothing happens that's not supposed to happen. And so it was driven home so much to me that I was feeling this real guilt, and my guides were like, "But is it true?" And I said, "Well, I shouldn't have hooked her." And they said, "If you weren't able to hook her, if you weren't supposed to hook her, would you have been able to?" And I said, "I guess not." And so it was like this unfurling. I felt this like energy. It was amazing. And again, I wouldn't have had access to that. And the way I got there was I was I was unwinding sticky points and places, and I found this deep, deep neediness. I mean, I've always known I have neediness. I have codependency. And I've always sort of known that. Um, it's kind of what makes me so out there and so willing to teach and help and heal is that I have this deep neediness, and I would like not. What I want is for not for people not to feel that way, and so this is my mission. This is my work in the world. But what I uncovered was the neediness is actually a a vampire energy, and it scared me. It terrified me. When I found this vampire energy in there, I was terrified. It actually, I took myself out of the meditation, and I was like, I need help with this. I went immediately outside. I was like, who can I call? Who can I talk to? And it was the middle of the night. There was nobody, which gratefully, but it was so painful. It was so scary for me to uncover that. And so I had to sit with it, and I had to sit with it, and I had to sit with it, and I had to make peace with that part of me. And it was deep and profound, and I was really shaken. I was really shaken. And they were like, "We never force. We never force." And I was like, "Okay." Um so after I could sit with that and be in that energy and really say some ho'oponopono to that vampire energy, that's when I got to that other deeper place of guilt about hooking my mom. And then I know my mom had guilt about probably not wanting to stay for me. Right? So it was a whole slew of things that we got to unwind and unravel, and it was exquisite. It was exquisite. And in the end, I got to say in the mirror, well, it took me till Thursday, Wednesday night, to say in the mirror to myself, meet myself in the eyes and say, Ho'oponopono, I love you to the vampire too. And it again, I felt the last vestiges of that unfurl. And why am I sharing all of this with you? One, to share my journey, but and yes, to be vulnerable in the sharing. But more than that is I want to help you guys understand what it really means to do shadow work, what it really means to make friends with your demons. That the places in us that are scary and locked away and shut up and really so deeply unconscious in us that we don't even know the entry point for them. We don't know the access codes. There is magic there. There is power. There is juice. There is exquisite pain, but also exquisite relief. And if and I know we're here to do the work. I know that we're here to clear that stuff out because it doesn't serve and it's holding us back, and it is what we're here to clear. It is what we're here it is what we're here to heal. And I know you can't do this. I mean, did I do it myself? Sure, but this is 25 years of a journey later. 25 years ago, I would never have been able to do this, and I don't recommend doing what I did. I don't, because that's how I honestly believe that's how mental that's how schisms happen. That's how people with real severe schisms, I think they get too, they're like Icarus, they fly too close to the sun, and their brain schisms because they're not ready for it and they don't have language for it and they don't have ability. So one of the things I'm thinking about doing is offering a safe space, like a day journey, like I did. Obviously we're not going to use an edible, um, but we could do a meditation journey space. I was thinking about doing something in the fall anyway. If I did this, if I offered this kind of a journey day like this, would you be interested? If you want to do it one on one, I can totally do it one on one with you as well. But I was thinking that it might, if I could put this together, is this something that you'd be interested in? Because I do have this. I would love to teach people how to dialogue with their guides like I do. And maybe you're not going to dialogue the same way that I do, but I want you to have the same, I want you to have the relationship with your guides that I have with mine, so that you can do a journey like this like I did. Someone said to me, "You did this alone?" I said, "I was never alone. There was never ever a point, except when I terrified myself, that I felt alone." And even then, I felt so held and so loved and so supported by God and the universe and whatever the beings are that you want to think about. Healers, I don't care, loved ones, whatever. I felt so supported because I have this relationship with my guides, and that I would love to teach that to you guys somehow, share it with you. And that was the reason of me bringing this up in the conversation. And but I knew I had to like give you the specifics, otherwise it was just sort of pointless. If you're interested, I would love to do this with you. Maybe I do it as a group. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but I certainly can do it one on one, if that also appeals to you. But let's really really clear out our shit, because really truly it's scary at the moment, but our success rate so far is 100%. The odds are in our favor. Anyway, I love you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool out there. Be good to yourselves. Be infinitely kind and compassionate to yourselves. It really is the only way through. Happy weekend.